All right, everybody. Another day in the garden today, and I'm going to talk about amaranth today. And if some of you guys have been following me for a long time, you know how I am about amaranth. I've been growing it for about 3 or 4 years now. Different varieties, different methods, different ways of trying to do it. And I harvested a lot of wild amaranth seeds. Not wild; it was from a community garden, and somebody must have been growing a red-leafed, red-stem, red-flowered variety of amaranth that was really big, and it was crossbreeding with wild varieties and producing some of the craziest things I've ever seen. You know, I've liked amaranth for a long time. I've eaten the grains. I make popcorn with the grains. I eat the leaves as leafy greens, like stir fry. And the history behind it and the connection between ancient American history is it's amazing. And I'd totally recommend, if you don't know a lot about amaranth, to just type it into Wikipedia or Google and check the history out. And I've done a lot of videos on that too. So this right here, I have about 5 different varieties of seeds that I've collected from 5 different plants last year. And I had one, if you guys remember, the 10-foot tall amaranth, that was a blazing red variety of amaranth. And then I also picked a couple other varieties too. Now I thought that I planted the red variety, and the bigger these plants get, the more I'm realizing that it must have been one of the other ones that I picked. I actually know exactly which one it was. These guys are still going to have some big, beautiful red flowers on them, but they're not going to have the red stems. But their leaves are kind of like a red tinge underneath, if you can kind of see that. But it's got red veins. And the way I grew it this year was I did a hill method. And if you can see the plants growing right down here, right down the hills. Some of the seeds ended up getting down in the furrow right down here, right in like in the trench. And they're actually doing better. Now the amaranth that I grew last year, I didn't plant. I just didn't weed it out. I kept it there, and a lot of people there thought I was crazy, but when they got big and started flowering, everybody kind of understood. They knew why, and then they wanted to put them in their flower arrangements. It was crazy. But this variety right here, it's some type of cross between a red Mexican variety crossed with a wild variety that grows up in the mountains of North Carolina. And I actually found 2 or 3 plants of wild amaranth growing here. I've been looking for it because it's just like lamb's quarters. It grows everywhere. You know, you can dig a hole and water it, and I'm pretty sure lamb's quarters and amaranth will grow, you know, just about anywhere in the country. Dig a hole in the ground, disturb the soil and water it, and most likely you'll have lamb's quarters and amaranth. The seeds last for years and years and years and years in the garden and or in the ground, and they're pioneer plants. So, but yeah, amaranth right here. This is how I'm growing it. Enough of me talking about it. What I did was I hilled up. I made a bunch of hills. I made 4 hills, and I planted 2 rows of amaranth and 2 rows of quinoa on each side. Quinoa is not doing too good. I've only got maybe about 3 or 4 plants right over there. The amaranth is doing pretty nice though, and I already thinned these ones out. I spaced them out as much as I could. But the seeds are so tiny that eventually you can go back in once they get a little bit bigger and just kind of thin them out. You can kind of see I cut this one's too close. And I eat these for stir fry. So I'll come in here and I'll just pick these off, get a couple handfuls, throw them on a skillet with some garlic, some mushrooms. It's really, really, really good stuff. But yeah, that's the amaranth that I'm growing. I was hoping it was going to be the more purple-red variety, but I'm going to have to go through my seeds again this winter and get the right stuff. Now, there's 2 different times a year. I mean, you can plant amaranth anytime and eat it for leafy greens, because, I mean, they get to this big in about 30 days. And this is a good size to start harvesting them for leafy greens. They're about 1 foot tall. And if you wanted to grow them for seeds, for grains, I mean, some of them can take 120 days up to 160 days. And to do it right. Now, that's not to say that you can't plant some amaranth like this in the end of July and it only gets 2 feet tall and puts on a flower spike and produces a little bit of seeds. Yeah, but you're not going to get the pounds per plant that you should be getting. Normally, on a big tall plant like this, you'd almost get about 1 pound per plant of amaranth grain. So I'm actually probably going to be experimenting more with the trench method, because if you look at this giant guy right here, he's not growing up in this hill over here. He was one of the seeds that made his way down there. So I don't know with my soil if the amaranth is more concerned with a water supply, because that's probably closer to the water down there than they are with loose soil. Because I've stepped down there. I've stepped down in this little trench down here, and tried to keep this soil up here nice and loose and stuff. But it seems like the bigger ones, there's even another big one right there behind it, you can see. So it seems like the bigger ones are down in this trench. Experiment with it, guys. If you're going to grow some amaranth, grow it a couple different ways. Grow a couple different varieties. You know, let them cross between each other and create new varieties that might actually be better for your garden. You know, the natural hybrids that your garden might produce might be more suited for your garden than the parent plants. You know, they're a lot like corn, what I mean by crossing. You know, they could be anywhere in your garden, and most likely they'll cross-pollinate each other. Amaranth is a lot like a few other plants. I forgot the name of it, but they have a male and a female plant. So a male shoots its pollen up into the air, and then it pollinates the female. I think marijuana's like that also too. Well, they've got a male and a female plant, if I remember. But yeah, here's the amaranth, and I'm hoping eventually these guys are going to get taller than me. You guys want to see the wild variety I stumbled upon? Okay, it's right over here in the corner. This is one of them. Now I don't know if I'm going to keep it or not. You know, this thing might cross with my red variety, and you can already see some green flowers growing on this one right here. So I might just chop it and eat it. I mean, I'd like to have the genetics from this. I mean, this is amaranth that grows wild in my garden. I mean, this is the stuff that you really want. I mean, you can buy seeds from just about anywhere, but it's like finding a wild pumpkin. It's like you want to grow pumpkins in your garden, and you find a wild variety of pumpkins in your garden. You know, that's pretty important. Very valuable for your garden. But, man, I got so many seeds of amaranth. So many different wild varieties. So, I'm still debating. I mean, this one's already flowering already. It might be too late to start eating it for greens. And it's a bush. You can see compared to mine. Mine has a long, straight stem with no branches, just leaves. And it's going to keep going straight up, and this one's just a bush. This is a bush variety of amaranth. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for some more videos on the amaranth. I definitely recommend checking out the history on it. There's so many different cultures that have used it, worshipped it. You know, it was a staple crop for the Aztecs and the Mayans, you know, more so, almost as much as corn, even more so in certain circumstances. So, yep, that's amaranth, guys. Y'all have a good one.